Welcome to this week's episode. Today we're going to be taking soil samples in our microplot, that is if this rain holds off. We're going to be discussing what tools you can use, what lab we go through, and just how easy it is to take a soil sample. This is basically just a beginner guide to taking a soil sample. Anybody can do this stuff. We'll talk about the tools first. You can use a probe like we do. These are about 12 inches in length, which is perfect. You only really need to probably go about 6 inches down into the soil, but it's got a little foot peg on it, so you can really push in nice and easy, especially if it's rocky, like down in Missouri, or if you're in some hard clay stuff. This is really nice to use. You can also use a shovel and a spade. Just make sure they're clean, not rusty. Rust can actually fluctuate the soil sample test. So as far as tools go, spade, shovel, probe, pretty straightforward. These are made out of stainless. They're not likely to rust. They can. Just make sure you hose them off real well when you're done with your soil sample test for the day. As far as the soil sample itself goes, you need to take between 10 and 15 samples throughout this food source to get an accurate reading. The acidity level can actually change throughout this whole entire food plot. And this is not a very big food source by any means, just a little micro plot, but it could be really acidic here and more alkaline or neutral down there. So just make sure to get between 10 and 15 soil samples, and then that'll give you your average. You'll take all those soil samples, you dump them in a bucket like we did here, and then if it's a little on the wet side like it is today, you'll want to let that dry out overnight before you actually fill up your bag. So as far as labs go, we go through Whitetail Institute now because our local co-op, unfortunately, they don't take soil samples anymore. But we actually really like going through Whitetail Institute. They give you a sheet, you can tell them exactly what you're planting, what your crop is in this food plot, and then they'll give you recommendations as far as lime and things like that for that crop. And they'll also give you your soil sample of what your current pH and fertility is in that food source. You can mark whether it's an established food source or if it's a brand new one. You can give them a number, a name, and they'll get familiar with you as you take soil samples every year. Just a good way to make sure that you're not adding a bunch of stuff to your food plot that you don't need to, or you could actually need to add lime and things like that to bring up your pH and get your crops where they need to be. After all, if it's too low, too acidic, and these plants can't draw the nutrients, you're not going to have a very good crop. So it always starts with the soil sample. It's the most important in my opinion, and we know that our pH was a little low last year. We already came through, we spread pelletized lime on this food source, and we sprayed it with our plot start, which is our liquid calcium. And what that does is that just puts calcium in the soil at a really quick rate. But I think it's going to be close to where it needs to be. To be sure, we need to take our soil sample, and then we'll know if we need to back off on adding anything to this, or we might need to come back through here again and spray it again, or add some more pelletized lime to it. So we're gonna go ahead and knock this out. We're gonna go take our 15 samples, throw it in our bucket, and then we're gonna get heading out of here. So thanks for tuning in on this week's episode, guys. We appreciate it. We'll be back next Friday.